on the screen, baby. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you are joining me live, first of all, happy Friday. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are over here rejoicing and we are glad in it. I am super duper excited about today's show. And if you're coming on, joining me live, and if you are an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and if you've ever been interested in learning about holding companies, today I'm going to take a few moments on the show and we're going to do a little deep dive on the holding company structure, the holding company concept, and what you need to do as an entrepreneur to maximize and get the most out of holding companies. So we're going to do a little deep dive today. So please do me a favor. If you're coming on live, hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody, and let them know your boy, Ramonepreston, my squad, outside of the conference room. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say to all of you that continue to support the show, thank you. Please put in the comments what city you're watching me from. Put in the comments what city you're watching me from. And if you're a student watching the show, if you're a mentee watching the show, if you and I have a business relationship and you are watching the Ramonepreston Show, I'm gonna start making it an obligation that when you join me live on the show, you have to comment, you have to engage, you have to put something in the comments to let the world know that you're a student inside of Ramonepreston University, you're a client, you're a mentee in our coaching program. If you are, I want you to put it in the comments. Listen, it really don't matter if you have a bad review about me, if you feel some kind of way about me. I would rather you say something bad about me in the comments than to say nothing at all. Because the truth is this, if you ain't commenting and you're a student or you're a mentee or we have a business relationship, I don't know if that's good or bad. The truth is it may be bad. So we don't want no bad blood today. We want you to put in the comments what city you're watching the Ramonepreston Show from today. And I want to know if you're a student, if you're a mentee, what are you studying right now? What topics inside of the Millionaire Blueprint or what topics inside of Ramonepreston University are you studying right now? We just had a conversation, when was that? Yesterday before we left the office. We just had a conversation with one of our students and clients, and he was telling us that he was so grateful for what he's learning about the holding company. He's a student inside of our holding company program. So he's not getting educated on the other things that we have right now. He's planning on becoming a mentee and joining our coaching program. But the fact that he's inside of one of our programs, he's studying, he's learning, and we're working with him as a client because we're putting his paperwork together for his holding companies and his operating companies. He was just letting us know how grateful he was. And so I'm grateful that all of you continue to support the show. I'm grateful for you to be a student or a client. Appreciate y'all. We got a few people inside of our chat. We've got Mr. Alves, big love from Portugal. Shout out to you, my brother. Miss Lula Battle, blessings to you, girl. We got another YouTube chat. We have someone who's viewing, new student from Savannah, Georgia. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for trusting us to educate you. So all week long, there are two things we've been doing here at Ramonepreston Enterprises from Monday to today. Number one, Justin, good afternoon, same city, blessings to you. So we've been doing two things this week here at Ramonepreston Enterprises. Number one, we've been hosting this show every Monday through Friday like we always do. And we've been live every day talking about different aspects of the holding company. So we've been talking about what a holding company is, how a holding company works, how you should use a holding company, the reasons why you should start a holding company and why most people start holding companies. The second thing we've been doing all week is we've been offering a free complimentary business assessment. So if you have been a beneficiary of our free business assessment, meaning that you have either text holding to us or we've reached out to you and we scheduled a one-on-one free business coaching assessment, I would love for you to put in the comments what was the biggest takeaway that you received from that free business assessment. We were offering them for free. We still have a couple more slots. Our goal was to extend 10 offers. So that means we wanted to give 10 people who follow us on social media, who watch the show, who support us. We wanted to give 10 of you a free complimentary business assessment. And if you have already took me up on that offer, if you benefited from the business assessment, please, pretty please, of course, I would love for you to leave a review on Google. So you can always go to Google and type in Ramonepreston Enterprises and please leave us a review. But if you're watching the video on the show live, I want you to put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. Like, what exactly did you learn? What did you get from it? How did it benefit you? So I really appreciate you. Someone else, Seaport Industries LLC is studying the Millionaire Blueprint. Why do you need a sales script? So we have a student right now inside of our Millionaire Blueprint who's currently studying why do you need a sales script? So they're learning about this. Listen, if you are an entrepreneur, okay, or if you are planning on becoming an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility as an entrepreneur to educate yourself. I heard someone I was talking to this morning say something that just, it blessed me when I heard what they said. Here's what they said. They said, people who watch video content on social media like YouTube, people who Google information and study online through social media and websites, this person was saying that people who do that are getting more entertainment than they are education and mentorship. So you're not getting a whole lot of education and mentorship just because you watch a whole lot of content on social media. Just because you watch all of my holding company videos and all of the other videos that other influencers put on social media, you're getting a lot of entertainment. And this person was explaining that until you become a student inside of a course, inside of a program, or a mentee, or a client inside of a coaching program, you're not getting all the education you're supposed to get on that particular subject. So if you're interested in learning more about holding companies and you know you want to become extremely familiar with that concept or any concept relating to business, whether it's creative tax strategies, sales, marketing, financial literacy, systems and processes, this is why we created our educational program called the Millionaire Blueprint. Because what we've done is we've taken the blueprint for what I have done in my life as a successful business owner, and we've repackaged and repurposed it in the form of video courses, documents, forms, tutorials to give you a step-by-step process or blueprint on how to build a $1 million organization or enterprise and how to become a millionaire. That is what the blueprint is about. That's why we call it a millionaire blueprint. If it wasn't a millionaire blueprint, it needed to be something else. If it was just about six figures, it should be a six-figure blueprint. If it was about $20,000, it should be a 20K blueprint. It is a millionaire blueprint because it shows you how to build a $1 million, at minimum, a $1 million organizational enterprise. So again, today is the last day that we're going to be offering a free business assessment to you members of our community. So if you have not taken advantage of this offer, it's absolutely free. Even though I would love for you to buy a program from me and purchase a course or become a mentee or a client, like, we're not really forcing you to do any of that. We're not pushing that narrative during that assessment. We're literally taking about 10-15 minutes. We've had a couple clients this week that it extended almost an hour, where we were just really answering a lot of questions and helping them wrap their minds around what exactly they were doing. And we did it absolutely free. Of course, we had a few people who took us up on the offer who wanted to know, what exactly are you offering? What type of programs do you have? We shared it, we showed it to them, and we gave them what the prices are and let them know that if it's something that they want to do, we'll be more than happy to get them signed up and onboarded. But if you want to take me up on that offer, we have a few more spots open. Our cap was 10. We wanted to offer it to 10 people. And all you have to do is text the word holding, like holding company. Text the word holding to 678-276-8253. And I'm going to make sure that my team puts that instruction in the comments on the social media pages that we're streaming live, so that you can go back, copy and paste the word holding. You could text it to 678-276-8253. Now, a couple things that I wanted to cover today in this holding company deep dive, okay? Remember, we've already talked about what a holding company is, how a holding company works, and some of the common and creative ways that you can use a holding company. We also took some time this week to discuss reasons why people start holding companies. I actually shared with you 5 reasons why people like me, you, and other entrepreneurs who get introduced to this information, why they start holding companies. Now, there are a couple things that I wanted to address because they seem to be common topics of discussion, even with the people that we have provided a free business assessment to. One of those topics is about partnerships. We've had a couple people this week who were either in partnerships or anticipating to get into partnerships. We even had a couple current clients and mentees who are already in our coaching program reach out to us and ask us questions. And if I'm not mistaken, we may have had 1 or 2 people bring that topic up about partnerships. So when it comes to partnerships and holding companies, this is one of the modules inside of my holding company course. So again, I have an entire course. You really need to just go through that whole course, familiarize yourself with all the concepts that we teach relating to holding companies, all the principles that we teach, and all the things that we do to maximize and leverage the holding company. But anyway, this is one of the topics that seemed to be a common theme this week with quite a few people that we talked to, and it was with regard to partnerships. So my personal and really my professional recommendation is, if you plan on having a partnership with any other human being outside of your spouse or maybe a loved one that you just have a real close relationship with, and that might be iffy. But definitely outside of your spouse, if it's a sibling, if it's a best friend, if it's a business associate, if it's outside of your spouse, I would always personally and professionally recommend that your partnerships start with you and your partner or partners having your own and them having their own holding company. I would always start it like that for so many different reasons that I'm not going to go deep into, but for so many different reasons. Number one, the reason why I would recommend a partnership having their own holding companies, each partner having their own holding company, is because if there is something one or both of the partners would like to do outside of the thing that they're doing in business with the partner, well, guess what? There's no conflict of interest. So for example, if someone wants to partner with me and they have this idea for a business partnership, okay, I'm going to say, well, I have a holding company, you need to have a holding company, and then we can form a partnership and both of our holding companies own either 50% or however many partners are involved. Whatever my percentage of the partnership is, I want my percentage to be owned by my holding company. Because number one, I don't want to personally own a whole lot of businesses. What if I get into 20 different partnerships? I don't want to own ownership interests in 20 different businesses. I want to have one holding company, and I want my holding company to own ownership interests in 20 different businesses, so they're all passed up through the holding company to me as opposed to being directly connected to me. But if at any point when you set up a partnership like that, if at any point you or your partner want to pivot into another industry or do something else with another partner, it's not a conflict of interest between you and that partner, and you don't feel like you have to give up everything you built inside of that partnership just to go do something else, because you already have a holding company set up that gives you the flexibility. This is one of the biggest benefits of having a holding company, because even if you don't have partnerships, when you have companies that your holding company owns, you don't become ultimately a slave to the company that your holding company owns. Which, by the way, if you do have a question about holding companies while we're live, what you can do is put it in the comments. Just put the question in the chat or the comments wherever you're watching, and we can see from our side of the screen what exactly your question is, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. So that was a common topic that we discussed this week with a couple people about partnerships. So again, I don't discourage partnerships. I think partnerships are good. They have a very important place in today's world. They've always had. They can be great leverage points to get you to where you need to go. My team and I, we was in here this morning during our team meeting talking about the concept of partnership. So it's a very common topic that a lot of people talk about. I just like to make sure if you are in a partnership with one person or 100 people, that your partnerships are tied to your holding company as opposed to being tied to you, so that it keeps you free to not just focus on that business that you have a partnership with, but the other things that at some point in your life you might want to do. People don't think about that, but I've had clients who I've sat down with, mentees that I've sat down with, students, and just people in general that I've sat down with who asked me this same question. I've had some that didn't follow my instruction and they're suffering and regretting what they did or what they didn't do that I told them to do. But then I have some people who took my advice, created a holding company, created a partnership using their holding company as the partner. And guess what? Whether the business succeeds or not, they feel good about what they did because they structured it right. A lot of times people don't want to have those conversations regarding partnerships because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. They don't want somebody to feel like they're not invested in it. That has nothing to do with that. It's about you understanding business and putting your business structure in the best position possible with any relationship you have with anybody. It's no different than if you go to the bank because you want to purchase a piece of equipment or you want to purchase a certain asset. And if the bank allows you to purchase that equipment or that asset through your business, it is more advantageous for you to purchase that thing through your business than it would by yourself. That's not always the case, but having a relationship with a bank, a lending institution, a credit card company, or any organization or entity, that relationship is essentially a partnership. And if you can run any of those partnerships through a business, be it your holding company, you always put yourself in the best position possible. So again, if you have any questions, drop the questions in the comments. Shout out to you, East Point. I see you, Lula, East Point GA in the ATL. But again, if you are not a student inside of Ramonepreston University, if you are not a mentee in our Millionaire Mentorship program, if we don't have a business relationship, but you just watch me on social media, follow me, or you just found me, and it's still inside of the week of July, the 28th. So this is the week of July 24th through today. If you're watching me and it's still inside of the 24th through 28th week, you can reach out to me and we will extend a free complimentary business assessment for you. You can text the word holding to 678-276-8253. That's 678-276-8253. Now, another common topic that we've been discussing this week outside of the live show has been the topic of entrepreneurs who have existing LLCs. And I've gotten that question a lot. Those of you that have existing LLCs, it may be a business or businesses that you already started. You already have your paperwork, your EINs, your bank accounts, your Duns and Bradstreets. These are existing LLCs that you're using for whatever the purposes are. Not purchasing and buying, but you may be using them to sell products or services or both. I don't know why you're using it or what you're using it for, but one of the common topics that we've discussed this week, because I've had questions about it, is centered around what do you do when you have existing LLCs? What do you do when you have an existing LLC and you want to start a new holding company and you want to transfer the ownership of that existing LLC to the new holding company? Well, there are a couple ways you can do it. Of course, number one, you could go to a lawyer. If you have a lawyer friend or someone that practices law legally, you could go to them and you could let them do all your paperwork, draft new operating agreements, and make sure everything is done correctly. If you wanted a do-it-yourself hack, what you could do is draft a new operating agreement, transfer the ownership of the existing LLC to the new one, and depending on what state you are in, you can go to your Secretary of State and either do an amendment. If they don't allow you to do an amendment on the ownership or the organizers or members of that entity, when you do your annual registration, you can update who the organizer or member or owner is on your Secretary of State file. If you're drafting a new operating agreement, because it doesn't cost that much to do, I would always say, if you're drafting a new operating agreement, just get it notarized if you just want to be extra safe. You know, you could draft the operating agreement, print it out, take it to, FedEx or UPS or your bank and let them notarize it and sign it on the date that you lock it in with the new information. So basically, if you have an existing LLC and your name is the owner, and you start a holding company and you want to transfer the ownership of it, hopefully you have an operating agreement. And if you have an operating agreement, maybe inside of your operating agreement, you already have the language that reflects transferring the asset of that company, the ownership interest, or what have you. We do have sample operating agreements that our students use for free inside of our Millionaire Blueprint. So we do have those sample operating agreements with the language already built into them. So if you're a student and you have access to the Millionaire Blueprint, you can always go inside, go to the holding company course or to the holding company startup kit, and you'll see all the documents. And one of those documents is an operating agreement for single member LLCs, and there's an operating agreement for multi-member LLCs. And all you have to do is just redraft a new one, update the ownership, print it out, go get it signed and notarized. And again, you can always vet this through an attorney or maybe a CPA that does corporate structures. So, people like me, and I want to just say this as a disclaimer, because I always get people commenting sometimes about, well, you're not an attorney. Nobody in my position should claim to be an attorney. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I am a business consultant and coach, but from the perspective of me helping entrepreneurs and individuals learn how to properly start, structure, and scale their businesses, not the legal side. We're talking about the operational side. We're talking about the money-making side. We're talking about the brand building, the marketing, the sales, the day-to-day management side, okay? Now, that does include, to some extent, filing and forming the paperwork, because in a world where most people start LLCs, it ain't that hard to start that. And again, the companies that I run today, just to show you, the companies that I run today, I did all the paperwork for. I filed the paperwork, I formed the paperwork, I submitted it to the IRS, to the Secretary of State. I drafted the operating agreements, okay? But that was after I already paid lawyers and CPAs to show me the ins and outs of this. I just happened to have some good relationships with people, and I was able to get a lot of intel and information on what is the general way to do it, what's the wrong way, and I'm not gonna say the right way, the general way. Because what may be right for you and your business structure may be wrong for somebody else based on their business plan, their goals, and what it is that they're doing in the marketplace. And I've had them to vet what I currently have now. So for me, I know it works. For the people that I've worked with and I've done this work for, it works for them. And I'm not just sitting here trying to take all the time to praise my own pawn, but just to help combat a lot of the kickback that people give me. And I want you as an entrepreneur to start accepting the fact that just because you don't have all the answers it doesn't mean what you are endeavoring to do is always wrong. Like some of the people that you think are just the geniuses doing certain things don't have all the answers. Some of them have to call people and ask people and pay people. They just make it look like they got it going on and they know what they talk about to impress you. But as an entrepreneur, don't get stuck and get intimidated because you don't have certain documents. You ain't got certain paperwork. You feel like you ain't got money to pay lawyers and CPAs. Well, just don't get stuck. Don't get intimidated. Keep moving. Keep educating yourself. Keep learning. Keep getting in communities, because there are a lot of things that entrepreneurs do that certain specialists will never do. And some of them don't accept what certain entrepreneurs do just because they wouldn't do it. But there are other experts and specialists who understand that those entrepreneurs, and they're able to come around to accept that it may be something different. It may be something creative. And again, that's just my little rant for the day. So again, we're talking about deep diving into the holding company. So again, there's a structure side to the holding company, but a lot of that is simple. Filing and forming paperwork, making sure you got your EIN number, making sure the language that you put into that application is correct, just for the sake of you knowing you did it the right way, making sure that you go to the Secretary of State and that your paperwork is filed and formed the right way, and drafting your operating agreement. That's like the structure side. But again, once you have the structure side of your holding company LLC or your operating company LLC done, then what? Then what? What are you going to do? A lot of people have their LLCs. They got holding companies. They got multiple entities, and they don't know what to do with them. You know why? Because the structure part of the holding company, the operating company, the LLC formation is one thing. The concept side of knowing how to use it to leverage and maximize opportunities, that's another thing. You have to learn that. Otherwise, you're just going to have a whole lot of paperwork, a whole lot of documents and files on your computer, a whole lot of EIN numbers and Dun and Bradstreet accounts and NAV accounts and bank accounts, and you ain't gonna know what to do with all these different entities that you have. Most entrepreneurs who start multiple LLCs are doing it out of ignorance, not even knowing that some of the things that they're doing doesn't even need to be in its own LLC. It can actually run through another entity that you already have as a division. But you don't know that until you know it. So these are things that we want to help you address. These are things that we want to give you clarity on. These are things that we want to assist you with, because we know that the more you learn about holding companies and operating companies, the better it is for you to be productive in the marketplace. I got a couple other questions that we've had people to ask us. Can a LLC, see here, what were some of the questions that we have? How many separate entities do you need under a holding company? Well, this will depend on how many assets and business operations are necessary. Again, depending on what you're doing. So if your business activities are very risky, they're volatile, most likely they're going to require a separate LLC, because you don't want to commingle that business activity inside of a holding company or another LLC. So it really depends on what are the business activities that you're doing. Some business activities don't necessitate a separate LLC because they're not volatile. They're not risky. It's almost like going to a supermarket. And when you walk into a supermarket, you got all these aisles that have products. And then you got certain areas in the store that provide services, or some of those services may just come with being a part of that supermarket. Like, for example, if you walk into Publix, or you walk into Kroger or Winn-Dixie or Albertsons, wherever you live at, if you walk into the supermarket, or Walmart or Target, they have supermarkets inside. If you walk into the supermarket and they have like a deli department, right? And you go over there to the deli department and you ask them to make you a sub, okay? So they're providing a service to you, right? But it doesn't mean that service that they're providing to you to make that sub is a separate business entity, like Subway or Quiznos. They haven't separated the sub making service from the actual store. So you go into Publix, you get a sub made for you, you check out in Publix. You're not checking out with a different entity. So there are some services or some things that you do that can actually run just as aisles in the same business. They don't have to be separate. However, if you go to Publix, you go to the front desk, and if you need to wire money to someone through Western Union, they have a relationship with Western Union. They process it at Publix, but it's a different entity that's actually engaging in that monetary transaction. You see what I'm saying? So these are things that you just need to learn and become more familiar with. As I said, we just talked to a client yesterday. Just this past week, within the last 7 days, we've helped a couple clients start 2 holding companies and 2 operating companies under the holding company. This is what we've done because we have a corporate service division where we actually do the paperwork for you, okay? Any state, by the way, in the United States, we can file and form your paperwork, all right? But here's my point in bringing that up. One of the clients that we were working with was already a student inside of our Millionaire Blueprint. They had access to the holding company course. The only thing was they didn't go through the course. So they were not familiar with the ins and outs of doing it themselves, and they wasn't really familiar with how to run this multi-entity complex structure. They wasn't familiar with any of this because they didn't go through the courses. So they had to have these entities set up because of the demand on their business, and so we had to set it up for them. But since then, we're talking about just within the last week, this particular client went back on our platform inside of the blueprint and started going through the course. And when we talked to this client yesterday, the first thing he said was, oh my God, I'm learning so much. Like I'm learning so much from the course. I didn't know what I didn't know. That's basically what he was saying. I didn't know it was so much to learn. I'm glad that I had y'all to do it, because if I would have done it without this knowledge, I would have done it all wrong and would have still had to come back to y'all to get y'all to do it or take more time to learn. So don't rob yourself of the right education. There are people out here on social media who sell courses. They do workshops, masterminds, coaching, all the stuff. We do the same thing. That's what our company is built around: consulting, coaching, and education. But there are certain things that we are certain that we're good at, that we know a lot about because we've invested years, we've invested tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the right infrastructure, the right resources, the right paperwork, having the right people on our team or in our circle to see to it that whatever it is that we're giving you information on, it might not be everything, but it'll be enough for you as an entrepreneur to know exactly what you're doing, so that even when you bring other experts on your team, CPAs, tax strategists, attorneys, and other people who help support your business, you at least know what you need to know about what you're doing. And you're not letting people who either don't believe it or don't agree with it sway you from what you need to do, because that happens every day, especially when you're dealing with people who might not even be familiar with certain concepts that we talk about, or they might not agree with those concepts. So again, if you are watching the show and it's before Friday is over, because this is the week that we're in, July 24th through 28th, we are extending a free complimentary business assessment to you as a member of our community. We only have a limited number of spots available. So if you would like to take us up on that before this week ends, all you have to do is text the word holding to 678-276-8253. That's 678-276-8253. All of you that are watching, if you are a student inside of the Millionaire Blueprint, or if you're a mentee you also have access to the Millionaire Blueprint, our educational program. I want to encourage you, if you haven't gone through the holding company course, please do so. Please, even if you have, go through it again. Familiarize yourself with all of the concepts that we teach. There are some powerful concepts that we teach, common and creative. So there are some common things you're going to use a holding company and that type of structure to do, but there are a lot of creative ways to use it, especially if you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a big staff, you ain't got a whole lot of money in credit. Okay, you got to take this structure and you got to maximize it. You got to make the most out of it. And there are certain things that you can creatively do to make that happen. Of course, you can sell more products and services. But if you don't know how to market and sell, and if you're not positioning your structure to be better at marketing and sales, that's one area you need to work on. If you don't understand asset management from the perspective of you owning a holding company and your holding company owning other companies, that's something you need to learn. If you're not familiar with the SMS matrix, which is another creative concept that we teach with the holding company, you need to learn that. If you don't know how to accumulate assets and integrate them into either your holding company and or its subsidiaries, you need to learn that. So there are a lot of concepts you need to go inside of the Millionaire Blueprint and learn regarding holding companies. Don't just settle for, oh, I got a holding company, I got a trust, I have 3 subsidiaries, I've got a Duns and Bradstreet, I got a NAV account, I got 8 bank accounts, and think that's it. That's not enough. You got to learn how to maximize and leverage to your greatest advantage this business concept. And the further we go into the future, especially in this time of economic volatility where a lot of people are retiring, a lot of business owners are checking out, they're either closing their businesses because they're finished, or they're transitioning and they want to pass these businesses down or sell them or transfer these assets. If you could put the right structure together and understand what you're doing, you're going to be one of the people at the top within the next couple of years. So again, if you just have any questions, if you want to make sure you're doing your holding company, your operating company and everything right, don't hesitate to text the word holding to 678-276-8253, and we will offer you a free complimentary business assessment. And all of you that are mentees, if you're in our coaching program, this upcoming Monday on our live coaching call, we're gonna do a deeper dive into the holding company. So we're gonna be talking a lot about holding companies. We're gonna be assessing your structures, making sure your paperwork is right, making sure you got your operating agreements drafted. We're gonna be answering your questions. So I want you to be sure to join me this upcoming Monday for our live Millionaire Monday coaching call. So love y'all, appreciate y'all. Have an amazing weekend. We'll be back here Monday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Ramonepreston Show. Again, if you want that free business assessment that we're offering, text the word holding to 678-276-8253. Have an amazing Friday, an amazing weekend, and we'll see you back here